You're listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.
It's Tuesday, May 12. I'd like to share some thoughts about real estate. Today, we are looking at a deep dive into Seoul Economic Daily reporting on a major housing crackdown. We are also covering state developer supply shifts and a tightening commercial space right here in Seoul.
Right. There's just a lot to unpack here for foreign investors navigating the rules.
Let's start with this fraud probe. People are actually risking 3 years in prison just to secure an apartment.
Yeah, so to understand why people risk that, we need to look at Cheong-yak. That is Korea's housing subscription system, instead of buying a new build on the open market.
Right, like you normally would.
Exactly. Units are allocated through a public draw instead. And because the government caps these prices, they're often 20 to 40% below comparable market rates. Winning is incredibly lucrative.
I mean, think of this less like a traditional real estate market and more like a highly subsidized lottery.
That is a great way to put it.
And right now, the government is bringing in forensic auditors to check everyone's winning ticket. They are investigating 43 complexes, which covers 25,000 units.
Yes. Investigators are zeroing in on applicants who claimed a perfect 84 points on the scoring system. Getting that score is nearly impossible.
Because it requires such specific conditions, right?
It really does. It requires a precise long-term combination of zero homeownership, multiple dependents, and holding a subscription account for years.
Wow.
So that extreme scarcity is what drives the document forgery and fake address changes.
But how are regulators actually catching them?
Well, this is the fascinating part. They're crossing over into national health insurance records. Regulators track 3 years of medical use data to prove where an applicant's parents actually live.
Oh, like checking specific local hospitals and pharmacies?
Exactly. Or verifying where adult children truly work.
Yeah.
And if they catch you, Department Head Jung Soo-ho has warned of strict criminal prosecution.
Which means up to 3 years in prison or a 30 million won fine, which is about 22,000 US dollars.
Right. Plus losing the apartment and facing a 10-year ban on applying again.
So, with public draws heavily scrutinized, the supply pipeline of these below-market units is also evolving. They can't just rely on private developers.
Right, which brings us to a wave of MINCHAM, or public-private partnerships. These are overseen by LH, that is the Korea Land and Housing Corporation, the state developer.
So LH supplies the land and sets the price ceiling.
Yes, while private builders construct and brand the apartments. We are expecting 11,255 of these units to arrive in 2026 alone.
Do we have specific examples?
We do. Upcoming projects like Goyang Chenyang and Wangsukathera are priced at around 570 million won. That is roughly 412,000 US dollars.
So that is about 200 million won or $145,000 below market. But wait, top-tier builders are aggressively bidding here?
They are.
That does not make sense to me. Usually the top builders avoid state partnerships because the margins are capped. Are they just desperate?
It is definitely the latter. Historically, these state partnerships were strictly mid-tier builder territory.
Yeah.
The fact that multiple top-tier consortiums are now engaged in competitive bidding for a single LH block tells us that private market project financing is severely constrained.
Builders cannot secure private funding, so they are forced to rely on state land just to keep their pipelines moving.
Exactly.
That creates a stark paradox. The broader construction sector is starved for private financing, but at the top of Seoul's private luxury market, ambition seems completely unchecked.
The contrast is jarring. I mean, look at Apgujeong. That is Seoul's premier riverfront residential district. Hyundai E&C just unveiled their vision for the Apgujeong 3 redevelopment.
A 65-story tower, right?
Yes, featuring a super-penthouse. They're even planning integrated group robotics and AI-driven shuttles for the residents.
We have people faking medical records for subsidized housing on one end and AI shuttles on the other. But what about the commercial side?
Well, commercial space is suffering a similar fate, but in a way that really squeezes tenants. Take Yeouido, Seoul's financial district. Office vacancy there is sitting at just 2.3%.
Wait, 2.3%? That is incredibly tight.
It is. In the IFC complex, effective rents are hitting 400,000 won, approximately 290 US dollars per 3.3 square meter unit.
Wow.
And here is the critical data point for commercial investors. Because of those broader financing and construction constraints we discussed, the next major supply of office space in Yeouido is not expected until 2029.
As an investor, you are looking at a landscape defined by extremes. With residential compliance tightening and commercial space shrinking, how will you navigate a market where strict policy constraints dictate both your supply and your opportunity? That's today's AI Prism, Real Estate. This episode was produced with AI assistance based on Seoul Economic Daily reporting and reviewed by a human editor. AI Prism is a Juan I4A award-winning series. We'll be back tomorrow.
You've been listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.